Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be the next MVP of the NBA. All signs have been pointing to Shai winning this award for weeks now, and quite honestly, it's not close. He's had a better season than Jokic, a better season than Giannis, and by the time June comes around, Shai will be an NBA champion. Shai has helped rebuild the Thunder franchise who believed that all hope was lost. You see, at the beginning of Shai's tenure in OKC, sure, they made the playoffs and were first round exits, but that was followed by a handful of 20-win seasons. But in only year 6 with OKC, Shai has helped lead them to a franchise record 68-win season and have looked dominant throughout the playoffs. And he's doing all of this at 26 years old. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to win the MVP, and it's very simple as to why. He is the best player on the best team. When people think OKC Thunder, the only player that really comes to mind is Shai. He's having seasons very reminiscent of some Thunder legends. I'm talking Kevin Durant 2014, Russell Westbrook 2017, and now Shai in 2025. You know what all three of those players have in common in those years? They won the MVP. And it also helps that Shai and the Thunder just fit the narrative that the NBA is trying to push. You see Shai in almost every commercial. You had that AT&T commercial about a year ago where him and Chet Holmgren were singing, another AT&T commercial this year where him and his boys are all wearing the same outfits, and you've even got the new Jurassic World movie on tip, glazing the hell out of Shai in order to sell more tickets. And the truth is, as much as sports media doesn't want to admit it, the MVP is nothing more than a narrative-driven award. And the timing is working out perfectly for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as the Thunder are stepping into this new role as a main character in the NBA. They went from this underground band of buddies who you'll love to watch do post-game interviews with each other to a household name everybody knows overnight. And after years of disrespect, the Thunder have finally returned to the national stage. You see all of their playoff games. They're either going to be on primetime, where you can watch them on ESPN or TNT. You know where you won't catch a Thunder playoff game is on NBA TV. They are must-watch television. The way that Shai Gilgeous is able to play with his co-stars and able to elevate the game of everyone around him is truly phenomenal. And if you were watching Thunder games, you would know this. He's been doing this all season. He's been doing this for the last few years for the Oklahoma City Thunder when he's healthy. And that's most of the time. In all honesty, it is Shai's turn to win the MVP. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but stay with me here for a second. You see, Shai is the perfect story of an NBA player earning his way up through the ranks. He started off as a lottery project that no one really believed in. Then he was just an extra piece to the Paul George trade that no one really talked about. And from there, he has just been climbing his way up the hierarchy. 2 seasons ago, he was an all-star for the very first time. Last year, he was the runner-up for MVP. And this season, it only makes sense that he takes that final step. And I'll explain more of what I mean when I say that it's Shai's turn to win the MVP in a second. But for right now, I want to remind you guys to slow down, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 10,000, and every subscription is greatly appreciated, so please subscribe. Now, the NBA has long suffered from this problem known as voter fatigue, where the people voting on these awards get tired of choosing the same guy for the same awards over and over and over again. Then they look at some of the all-time greats, the people involved in the GOAT conversation, and check how many they have. Kareem, 6, MJ, 5, LeBron, 4. You know who's encroaching on that? Nikola Jokic, who has 3 MVPs in the last 4 years and is the closest player who's competing with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for an MVP this season. And yes, there's a valid argument to be made that Jokic could and should win the MVP this season. However, I believe that he was more deserving of it back in 2023 when the NBA decided to hand it out to Joel Embiid. Jokic should be a 4-time MVP winner already, and he should have gotten it back to back to back to back. But if the NBA didn't want to give the award to Jokic in 2023, I can guarantee you that nothing is going to change and they aren't going to give it to him in 2025, especially when Shai is looking like the favorite. But I don't want to make it feel like the NBA is just handing out some pity award to Shai, because he did earn the MVP this season. He easily won the scoring championship in 2025 as he led the NBA in total points, and it is very impressive considering how much fewer minutes he did it in than his runner-ups. He sat out in 17 fourth quarters because the Thunder were just blowing people out all season. Not only that, but he led the NBA in 20-point games, 30-point games, 40-point, and 50-point games. He was a walking bucket for the Oklahoma City Thunder all season long. Some will say that Shai is the reincarnation of a player like Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan, but he's not. He is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and he has the potential to reach a higher ceiling than some of the greats. And even if you take a look at the advanced metrics, stats that often favor Nikola Jokic in past MVP conversations, it isn't looking that way this season because when you look at the advanced stats, you have Shai leading in categories like estimated plus minus, on-off plus minus, and LeBron. Yes, LeBron is the statistical category in advanced metrics. You got some real NBA nerds working this thing. Whereas Jokic does lead in some instances like VORP or PER or box plus minus. But it isn't like those previous years where Jokic was winning the MVP and dominating in all of these advanced stats. Shai is holding his own. Shit, I haven't even had to touch some of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's baseline averages for the season. He's scoring 32.7 points per game, a career high, 6.4 assists per game, another career high, while also averaging 5 rebounds per game, when he's got some of the tallest motherfuckers in the world on his team. Shai goes out there and does it all. He's shooting nearly 52% from the field on the season, as well as 37% from the three-point line, being damn near efficient from all across the court. And that's not even mentioning his 1.7 steals. Yes, this guy is a defensive demon. Something that Jokic lacks is his defensive play, because at times you will see Jokic slacking. You know who doesn't slack on the defensive end? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And maybe it's the fact that he's 26 years old. Maybe it's the fact that he's a 3-time All-Star now, or a 2-time All-NBA player. What I do know is that Shai is finally getting the recognition he deserves, and it's great that the mainstream media is pushing him, because it is about damn time that Shai wins the MVP. And I know that the votes for these awards have already been submitted, and that playoff performances should not and do not impact the outcome of these awards. But that isn't going to stop me from mentioning Shai's performance in the 4-game sweep that the Thunder just pulled off on the Memphis Grizzlies. Absolutely toyed with them for about the entire series. Game 1, they don't really need Shai. It was a 50-point blowout. He only played in about half of it. Game 2, however, well, another 20-point blowout, but Shai does his thing. He gets 27 points. He has 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. He does some defensive work, okay? Now, Game 3 is where it gets interesting, because the Grizzlies are fighting for their lives. Hell, they got off to a 23-point lead at some point in the game. And this is where Shai really steps on it here. Now, it didn't help the Grizzlies that Ja Morant went out halfway through this game with an injury, but what also didn't help the Grizzlies give up their huge-ass lead was the fact that they couldn't stop Shai for shit, because Shai had 31 points in Game 3. He shot 38% from the field, doesn't matter, because he also had 4 rebounds and 8 assists. And Game 4, here we have the Grizzlies fighting for their life. No Ja Morant, but you know who is playing in Game 4? A fucking SGA. Legacy on the line. He needs to close out this series as fast as possible to get his team ready for the second round, where they're going to be absolutely battling either the Nuggets or the Clippers. So what does Shai do? Put up 38 points. He went 13 for 24 from the field. 5 rebounds, 6 assists, was the only reason that the Thunder were able to pull off this 4-game sweep, because they only won the game by 2 points. It was the closest out of all the games, and it's because Shai stepped up in the clutch for his team. And I know, okay, that this isn't going to affect the MVP voting, but I think this only adds to his case. When you go back and look at the entirety of the season, Shai has been doing shit like this, okay? And if you walk away from this video still believing that Shai shouldn't or won't win the MVP, well, to each their own. But honestly, you're kind of dumb here, because Shai is him. His aura radiates from the screen. Every time I turn on a Thunder game, my eyes are darting across the screen looking for number 2 because I'm trying to watch greatness on the basketball court, and that's exactly what Shai is. But anyway, that's about it for this video. I think I've glazed the king enough, so I'll catch y'all later. Much love. Deuces.